A three-man weave. The Hoosiers knock off their their third top five on the season. First time since 1975-76 they've done it throughout the year. First time they've ever done it in the regular season. Beating Michigan State tonight, 70-55. Guys, for me, it was IU kind of beating Michigan State at their own game, pounding the ball down low. 13-0 second chance points for IU, and they also out-rebounded Michigan State. I believe 31-30 or like 32-31, something like that. Michigan State was coming into the game third in the nation with average 9 more boards than their opponent. Christian Watford was part of that. He had a career high tonight. Connor on the boards. Talk a little bit about what the junior did tonight.
Really impressive performance considering the way that Watford has kind of struggled to rebound the basketball this year. You look at the way that he was able to rebound the ball in years past. You can always kind of bank on Watford to be a 7 or 8 rebounds per game guy, but this year he really hadn't shown it up until what he did tonight. 14 rebounds against a really, really good rebounding team in Michigan State. And to really, that kind of speaks to the job that he did on Draymond Green in the second half. Draymond Green was an absolute monster for most of I guess really the game, probably for about 25 minutes tonight.
18 in a row at one point.
18 in a row from Michigan State, and really was taking over for him, even though Michigan State still trailed. But Watford came in on him off of Keith Appling, who was shut down in the first half, and shut down Draymond Green in the second half. So big ups to Watford for coming in and really setting the tone defensively for a game where you absolutely needed to have a defensive performance like that to beat a really good Michigan State team.
Avi, I think it's the first ranked win IU's had since January 5th in Michigan. I know they really haven't had a ton of chances, none at home, but they had a couple chances on the road for a ranked win. How big do you think this win is, just from a confidence standpoint, heading into postseason play before Purdue on Sunday?
Yeah, Mr. Hyde showed up tonight. I mean, there's not much different way of saying it. This team has been pretty two-faced throughout the season. We saw Dr. Jekyll at Iowa, and then Mr. Hyde showed up at Minnesota, and then again tonight. It's huge for their confidence because they've now won 7, I believe.
Yep.
This team is clicking at the right time, and it's not just a sense of it's like they've stringed together these victories, but also just the team, and I think you guys would agree, the team we saw on the floor tonight just played like a team that can make a run
from the start of the game for 40 minutes.
Absolutely. They had a game plan. They executed it to perfection. And a big thing with me, it was a complete game. Connor mentioned a lot of those different aspects that when you put it all together equal a win and equal a big upset win. The out-rebounding, defense for,
to the free throw line, which they did not do in the first game.
Right. They got to the free throw line early and often. Kind of got away from it a little in the second there. But 5 players, in double figures. I mean, this was one of the most complete games I've ever seen Indiana put together this season.
5 guys double figures, and going back to the foul line, they did not get there in the second half, I believe, to like the 7 or 8 minute mark. But in the first half, at halftime, both teams had 11 made field goals, and 3 of those 11 were from 3. But IU outscored Michigan State by 14 on the foul line, and that equaled the 41-27 lead at IU at halftime. Guys, let's talk a little bit about the job IU did on Green in the second half. Green, I think everybody agrees he is the Big Ten Player of the Year.
Without a doubt.
And I saw some national guys tweeting during the game that maybe he should be in the conversation for National Player of the Year. He really put Michigan State on his back tonight, and he's very vocal. He's very emotional. I even saw him hit a 3 and kind of look over at Tom Crean there in the kind of got a little testy there for a brief moment. But IU made the switch, like Connor mentioned, Christian Watford, which he's really done for the last month, starting on point guards. He started on Keith Appling, and switched over to Green after Green made 2 shots to start the second half. And I thought, for me, that was the key to the rest of the way, because IU cut it to 6, or Michigan State cut it to 6 a couple times, but they couldn't get over that hump.
Yeah, and if you look at what separates this win compared to IU's first 2 wins over top 5 teams. First win against Kentucky, IU was on fire from 3 in the second half. You could almost chalk that up. You can almost chalk that up to some really hot 3-point shooting. Ohio State, Jared Sullinger, William Buford, huge foul trouble.
And Deshaun Thompson.
And Deshaun Thompson, yeah, that's foul trouble. This game, you had Michigan State's best player, Big Ten Player of the Year, playing at his absolute best. And they won this game by a long way to showing the maturation of this team. And I know there have been down moments like Iowa and the Iowa loss and the Nebraska loss, but if you really look at what this team has come from and what this team is now working towards, this win didn't even feel like as much of an upset win tonight. Yeah. I guess that's the big thing going forward.
Full body of work.
Good.
No, I was just going to say it's so easy for us, at least for me. Okay, I'm not going to speak for you guys, but it's so easy for me as a writer to have a period in the season where they get 3 losses and then get so down on them, or have a loss like they did against Iowa and say, oh man, this team really isn't ready, and they're maybe who we thought they were.
Look at Dennis Green reference.
Unintentionally.
I love that press conference.
That was a Bears one, wasn't it?
But and then you just look at their full body of work though. And what they've done this season, and I don't really, and it's a little soon, as Crean was alluding to in the press conference, to start talking about using superlatives and kind of describing the season as a whole. But it's pretty incredible. We're gonna look back at this, and it's really going to be something special. But there's still a lot of basketball left to be played. And we'll see in a couple months how that plays out.
2 more things I'm going to point out, guys. Keith Appling had 25 points in the first game. He did not make a shot in the first half. That was a career high, 25 points he had in the first game. He did hit a couple runners early in the second half, but then he was held scoreless, or at least didn't make a shot the rest of the way.
That's Watford too.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Definitely. And how about the play of Verdell Jones? He was a starter for pretty much his whole career. Now he's kind of been a guy coming off the bench, and he's really done a great job in that role. I believe he had 12 points tonight. Mm-hmm. He got to the foul line. He made a couple crucial baskets. I think for a guy like him who might not thrive in that energy role like Sheehy or somebody like that, he's definitely been playing very well. He's going to be key because, like Avi said, and like the players and the coach said afterwards, there is a lot of basketball left for this team, and I think
one game at a time.
The big thing going forward, and this is what we'll kind of end on, guys, is what IU team do you think we will see on Sunday and in the Big Ten tournament? We won't look past that, but it looks like IU's now pretty much locked 5 seed or 6 seed, depending on if Purdue can
in the Big
Ten.
In the just
Big Ten tournament, yeah.
Right.
If Purdue can go ahead and beat Penn State tomorrow, and then it'll come down to that game on Sunday, is this a team that you think can make a run to the Big Ten championship, something along those lines, or are we still just wondering what can they do away from home?
Consistency is a hard thing to breed in college basketball, and I think that's what makes elite teams elite. And even teams like Michigan State come out and have an effort like this, having just won 8 games in a row, and they'll lose a game like they did at Northwestern that you'll scratch your head and go, what? But today Michigan State's a top 5 team, and for IU to form a run and to be able to do something in the Big Ten tournament, it's going to be interesting to see because they've rattled off winning streaks, and like they're on right now, they have high upside, and they can play with the best teams in the country. And at the same time, they can also stoop down to a Nebraska or an Iowa and have a bad loss. So really, like Avi said, it's Jekyll and Hyde with this team. But, you got to like the fact, if you're an IU fan, that the sky's the limit, and they can take down the head honchos, and you don't go into any given game saying, no, they can't win that.
And I would say it's encouraging they play up to their opponents. I think that's something this has shown us, is that when they know they have a big challenge ahead of them, they play up to that opponent, and then maybe when it's a game they're kind of expected to win, they dip a little.
So Sunday, Senior Day, will be here. It'll be interesting to see how those guys play. They've definitely had an interesting 4 years here at IU, and it'll be interesting to see how IU guards probably the hottest team in the conference right now, just getting a huge win at Michigan on Saturday. Robbie Hummel is starting to play like the all Big Ten player I think everybody thought he would be. So
what do you guys think is going to happen real quick?
I would expect probably Watford on Lujak and Oladipo on Hummel, because that's kind of what they've been doing. I know height-wise, but Tom Crean talked about after the game how Christian guarded him a little bit up there earlier in the month. So I think that is probably your best matchup. And I think the Boilers are going to have their hands full. Coming into this environment, it's going to be rocking. The effort out of DJ Bird and Tyrone Johnson, who both have been playing well as of late.
Yeah, I really don't see this as a game where Purdue's going to be able to come in and steal one from IU, just based on the way that IU is. 17-1 now on this floor, so that's not too shabby. And Purdue hasn't necessarily been a team that's risen to their competition. Their first win against a ranked team was this past weekend against Michigan. So, it'll be interesting to see the way Purdue responds, given how hot they are.
I've given up making predictions. You're welcome, America.
And it is weird to think that these two teams are tied in the standings, and yet you would clearly consider IU the better team. So we will be here Sunday, 6 o'clock. Again, it is senior night, and it looks like if IU is able to win that game, they should be penciled into the 2:30 Thursday afternoon slot up at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Should be called Conseco, but I don't like that. So, for Avi Zalen, Connor O'Gara, I'm Kevin Bowen. Again, the third win over a top 5 team for the Indiana Hoosiers this year. Pretty impressive. Thanks, guys.
Senior night for us, too.